This video will be ostensibly about the history of certain things, but I'm going to cut to the chase pretty quickly. As of today, the detachable box magazine is over 100 years old. It's 127 years old minimum. I'm counting only when it was included with the gun, there was more than one available, and they were over 10 round capacity available within a year. So we're going to say over 125 years ago, the high capacity magazine that's detachable existed. The high capacity magazine, 30 round magazine that was attached to the gun permanently, and then again a year later made into a detachable magazine, but it wasn't a box magazine, it was a tube magazine, is 380 years old or more. This is not a discussion about whether those are facts, because I'm going to read the citations. 1560, black powder firearms existed. These had lots of different ways of being ignited people came up with, and sometimes these ideas were lost or found again, but they existed. And there were guns that fired more than one shot, either because they had a bunch of fixed barrels, or in 1560, a 4-shot revolver was created. I'm citing that one as the earliest example of people making sure that the reloading process, which at one time was ridiculously long compared to shooting, would be as short as possible. They reload all 4 chambers rapidly, sometimes by taking the mechanism apart by pulling out the cylinder, loading all 4, maybe even having an equivalent to a speed loader to pack everything in, and then put it in the gun. 1641, a 29-shot magazine, powder magazine, and ball magazine designed rifle came up. Peter Kalthoff. It was part of a patent and was currently in development, but he promised a 29-shot magazine-based gun that operated this fast. Bang! Bang! About the same speed as a bolt action, maybe even faster if he optimized it. 1 year later, another person, Hendrick Bartmans, basically used his patent to make a 30-round magazine gun, the same thing. This pissed off Kalthoff enough that by 1646, he released his rifle that had the same 30-round magazine now, because he had to do it the same. And separate powder magazine, you pour powder in one opening, the other opening would have round balls put in. And it could be a tube magazine, box magazine, but it was integral. And he called it the first rifle. By 1650, Lorenzoni created a repeater, with equivalent capabilities or not. And by 1690, yes, before the year 1700, this was a well-established item. But it's only for the rich and powerful. Yes, poor people should be disarmed. Next, if you believe that, it was only for the rich. Okay, so the people writing laws, who would be, by definition, the rich. People with the gold write the rules. It's the golden rule. So your same argument in the same breath is aristocrats, American versions of it, who are running the government, who are educated, you claimed that they were very educated, weren't aware that there were 30-round magazine-based guns by the time they wrote these rules that they're talking about, that we're referring to. 1722, most Americans had single shots. However, John Pim made a 11-shot repeater and sold it on the open market at that time, or not. We have physical examples, spotty records, but we don't have spotty records around a 30-round tube magazine with separate components. Well, that's different. No, it fucking isn't. 1791, around the time the Second Amendment became law, and well after they discussed and debated this, all of those individuals would have had 150 years of knowing about 30-round mag rifles. And yes, if you're not aware, before you open your mouth, someone immediately came up with a way to add extra magazines and just switch the whole thing by rotating it around the barrel. There were only a few examples, and at the time, people made note of them existing, but we may not have any examples because they were kind of herk-a-jerk put together, but they would work like bang, bang, An obvious advantage to bang. I mean, the fastest reload, you can watch it in a movie, but I've done a fast reload on a muzzleloader by making specially modified bullets. They're called Manet balls. They were ridiculously common. I loaded the ball itself with propellant, to hell with the PSI rating, just made sure it was an overbuilt gun, and then put a paper patch over it. I would drop it down into the bore from the top, dropping it down to where it hit the bottom, and at the bottom of it, I had a specially made breech plug that would grab the edge of it, cut the paper, and splay it out to where it would now engage the rifling. It was now airtight sealed. I'd put a cap in it, from a cap snaffler, I called it, pull back the hammer, and fire. Drop, clack, ding, bang. That fast. Every 3 seconds. That's a conventional muzzle loader. And all I did was make sure I had a cap, a stick full of caps, which people made all the time at the time. And I had a couple of jam-ups, and I was still doing faster than other people. I just made it to where I prepped everything before I fired. But no one ever thought of prepping anything. It's almost, but not quite, cartridge and ammunition. Oh, wait a minute, excuse me, they're called paper cartridges. So just load a bunch of them in a gun, a little spring load on it, have it loaded in the chamber and fire it. This is not complicated. This was understood to exist. And it was in the papers. 1821, Isaiah Jennings flintlock was a 15-shot repeater because you moved the flint mechanism forward and pulled the trigger, and it would set off the cartridge, set off a charge up here. You'd stack a bunch of them there. You'd load 15 charges in a row that were specific length right in front of the flash holes. You'd dust all the flash holes and then move it up forward. Bang! And there's another design where it would move back every time you pulled the trigger, so all you had to do was pull the trigger and it'd fire. Superposed loads. 1834, revolvers and pepperbox handguns had existed. 8-shot and some 11-shot revolvers were built. People also made quick pop-out magazines out of the cylinders. They would buy extra cylinders or have a smith make them. Once they had some interchangeable parts, it became trivial. You just made it to where you could pop out the pin by attaching the pin and making a slot cut, to where you could change out, bang, 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 fast loadout, or unloading or reloading. Volcanic Volcanic Lever-Action guns, 31 caliber, 30-round tube magazine, 1848. We now have, again, another 30-round magazine, but it's the 1800s. People cite this one, but the 30-round mag-based gun was made in the 1640s, easily available by the 1650s. So commonly available, people were arguing in court over their fucking patents over them. They were very popular, and not just for rich people, because eventually they were hand-me-downs by the time by the time our country had a war with England. Civil War Henry 44 caliber rimfire rifle, 16-round tube magazine. 15-round magazine for 44 rimfire from Winchester, all by 1866. 1884, smokeless powders made auto reloaders feasible. They could expel the bullet, use the recoil or energy, open the mechanism while it was still hot and throwing crap, but it was much less crap, and then reload a cartridge. They required less cleaning. 1888, the Lee Enfield 30 caliber rifle had a 10-round magazine, but it was the first box magazine. That's the one from 100 and some odd years ago. But there were fixed magazines people would just alter and shove the bullets in with a loader that acted as the bottom, becoming a magazine. Somebody named Borscht in 1893 made the first auto-reloading pistol that used a box mag in the handle, in the grip. Then we have the broom handle, 30 caliber pistol, 20-round box magazine, 1890s. That's why it's called the C96. It was the year. The 1905 Remington Model 8 30 caliber rifle with a 15-round tube mag, 15-round tube mag in 1914. The Spanish population started making 11-round plus magazines available as a standard. It became a flood of the market. Now we're going to look up when people tried to ban these. 1827, Michigan banned anything over a certain capacity. Had nothing to do with the Spanish. Rhode Island, same year, 13-round capacity banned. Again, nothing to do with imports. It's safety. We're not lying to you. We're politicians. 1932, Washington, D.C. banned 12-round capacity for a while. 1935, Browning high-power 9mm pistol, 16 or 13-round box mags, but I'm only going to quote the 13s. And immediately someone figured out, yeah, I can just get out some tin and make a longer mag and load more bullets. And there's a secondary market where people just make them and sell them. But let's not talk about that. There's 3 places here, among many probably, right? Single cities, that sort of thing. But states that states' rights restricting the magazine capacity. Okay. New Jersey, 1990, banned the 15-round magazine or higher. Or not. You can look it up. Now, these numbers are all rounded off because people were arguing about things, and most of these rules were taken off the list, and they were removed by court order because they were based on blocking somebody from buying and selling in the state because they were someone's uncle's opponent in the biz. 1994, when the 10-round or large or high-capacity magazines had been 98 years old. These are the boxed magazines that are removable that hold more than 10 rounds. Almost 100 years old. The Assault Weapons Ban, AWB, part of the Public Safety and Recreational Firearms Use Protection Act, banned civilians only from having 10-plus round magazines till the year 2004. And then left a whole bunch of exceptions for certain firearms so you could get higher capacity magazines, like 22 rimfire. Okay, but 22 rimfire can hold 22 Magnum. It can also hold 22 Magnum Velodog, which can be made plus P and drive a rifle bullet that we normally get out of an AR-15. No restrictions. Anyhow, people made those. You could get Velodog brass at one point. So now that we have 127 years of box magazines and 382 years of high-capacity magazines in guns in general, 30 rounds. Recurringly, 30 rounds is a sweet spot because how long the barrel is and how much you can fit without bumping into things when you have the magazine up at the end. Don't even get me started on 22 long rifle, little plinking rifles with 40-round mags being banned and literal kids being told that they were criminals because they got it for Christmas. Yes, it was a different time. Not all shots you fire will hit the target. Even if they do, they may not hit a specific part of the target, like the bullseye. An attacker being hit will only sometimes be hit. And only sometimes out of that, it will incapacitate eventually within hours or minutes. And only very few will immediately stop an attacker or make them turn, run, and leave. When a gun is out of ammo, you are unarmed, and everybody knows it, just about. You have to reload. If you can't reload rapidly with a large number of shots, you are at a disadvantage from someone who isn't going to follow any fucking law. And no, it's not a false equivalency to compare this to automotive rules about people need to have a license to drive. It isn't. Don't make that argument if you don't want to have the discussion that we would need to have. Whether you're armed or not doesn't speed up the cops. American law enforcement carry 15-round magazines in their handguns, 20-round magazines in their rifles. They almost exclusively use detachable magazines because they're defending their own life and yours. Do 10-round plus magazines make shootings worse or not? And does the FBI give you accurate statistics when they won't even tell you how many times, honestly, the mass shooting is stopped because someone intervened? Whether it's with a chair or handgun. If it succeeds in stopping a mass shooting, they won't count it. Yes, that's actually come up recently. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. You and I